Welcome, everyone, to the Spend Life Well show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial journey. I am Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice, and we're glad that you joined us today. Today, we're going to visit a little bit about summer stewardship, something that I call summer stewardship. We'll be discussing financial tips for the summer season. Now, I know we're in the middle of summer, but many folks are just now getting out of school, and we thought it'd be a good idea to visit a little bit about some ways that we can be responsible with our wealth and our money and have a fun time at the same time. So summer is full of opportunities and expenses, right? So how do you enjoy the season without getting financial regret or compromising your values? So today we're going to cover practical tips to budget wisely and steward your wealth in the summertime very well, okay? And let's visit a little bit about why summer can wreck the budget. We oftentimes have a lot higher spending in the summertime. I know Christmas seems like a natural time for us to be spending money, but summertime is that way as well. We've got, do we want to take a vacation? Are there childcare needs? I've got to work. I've got to have childcare for my kids because they're not in school right now. Air conditioning, utilities, and things like that because it's hot here in Texas. And usually we're running the AC. And so budgets can really, or your spending plan can really wind down very quickly and you find yourself in a hole. Hebrews 12:11 says, "Discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness." That's from Hebrews 12:11. Stewardship doesn't take a vacation. But a fun spending budget isn't off limits. We need to make sure we're having fun, but we're also being wise with those decisions. I remember one time, when my wife and I were first married, we didn't have any children at the time. Our friends in our life group would often just take spur-of-the-moment vacations. And one time, one of those vacations was to go camping in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. We were living in Washington, D.C. at the time, and it was a fun thing. We were going to rent tents from the PX on base or one of the posts there in town, and of course they're very high quality. If you're military, you know the stuff that you rent from the PX can be very low quality. So we go out and we planned this vacation or a weekend away. And we ended up spending money that we didn't anticipate. And so that kind of put a crimp on our budget for the next month because we had to pay some bills. So you just have to be careful. It's okay to have fun, but it's better to plan. And that's really my second point today is talking about stewardship. It's about more than saying no. It's about being intentional with the things that you say yes to. Because stewardship's not about saying no to fun, right? It's about being intentional with our priorities. 1 Corinthians 4:1-2 says, "As servants of Christ and those entrusted with the mysteries God has revealed, now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." So why do I bring up this verse? I just think it's so important for us to be intentional with how we spend the money that God has entrusted us to. One way we can do that is set a spending cap for various parts of your spending plan. In other words, decide in advance we are going to spend no more than X dollars on a vacation, or we're going to spend no more on summer camps for the kids. I mean, I looked around here, I was reading the paper the other day, and there were just literally dozens of different summer camps. Some of them were free. Some of them were, paid for camps. And of course, my younger children, they want to do everything, right? Because their friends are doing it, not because they want to get good at volleyball. Their friends are playing volleyball, so therefore they want to too. And it can really start to add up. So I think it's really important that you set those priorities. And when the money is out, yeah, it's disappointing to have to tell your child no, but use it as an opportunity to teach a lesson to say, hey, mom and dad had set a category here. We can only spend $150 on camps, and we've hit that. So I hope you had fun, right? We know how children are sometimes when they don't get what they want, but that's the way to do it, to be honoring to God and setting those caps. It's your money. You get to spend it how you want to, but make sure you set those caps. And folks, there are so many free activities to go do during the summertime. That we've got movies in the park, depending on your local situation. Movies in the park. Sometimes they'll have activities where you can go to the pool for free or very low cost. One of our favorite things is to go watch fireworks on July 4th. Here in Waco, there's a big fireworks show on the Baylor campus. That's a fun one to go to, and it's free. When we lived in Washington, D.C., we had the opportunity to actually go see the 4th of July celebration on the White House lawn. Our next door neighbor worked at the White House, and we got tickets for the day. Didn't cost us a thing, and I think even Bill and Hillary shared some Dove bars with us so that we wouldn't be so hot. But what a wonderful free experience to do that. And those things are everywhere. So look for those things, low cost, do-it-yourself movie nights. I know one time we set up a sheet on the back porch and had a small projector that we could borrow, and we have movie night outside. So things like that are fun for the kids, fun for you. You can invite the neighbors, and they don't cost you really much at all. The third part I wanted to talk about today was planning with a purpose. You need to treat summer like a planned season. We know Christmas comes around every year, yet we're always surprised that when Christmas comes around, we don't have enough money to set aside. So yes, we are in the summer season now, but it happens every year, right? We know summer season is coming up, so we need to be saving for those expenses year-round for those activities that we want to make sure that we're doing. Travel and lodging. I will tell you, one of the biggest budget busters is taking an impromptu vacation, all right? I love to take trips with my family. I don't do them very often because I don't plan for them, and that's my fault. My wife is a planner. She will plan those budgets, but we have to talk about it almost a year before. Next year, we're going to this place, and we start saving up for that. So you have to have a purpose and plan with that purpose in mind for the end game of what we want to do. Another thing that really pops up is back to school cost. Guess what? The kids go back to school every August or September, depending on where you live. It happens every year. And guess what? They always outgrow their clothes and their shoes. You know you're going to have to spend money on those things. So plan for them. Set aside funds for that so that you don't go into debt so that little Johnny can have a new pair of shoes. It's those things that we happen on a routine basis. Treat it like a season. You know it's coming up. Plan ahead. One of the things that we see a lot in working with a lot of churches and things is that giving also falls off in the summertime. And we see that, and it really hurts churches and ministries that rely on repetitive gifts from donors and things. And I encourage you not to do that. The reason that people drop their giving a lot of times is that they've made a choice to put other things as a priority. Let me say that again. Our giving drops in the summertime naturally because we have chosen to take money that we would normally set aside to glorify God, and we have chosen not to do that. Makes you think. Faithful stewardship includes consistent generosity. We have to do that and plan to do that. Now, ways we can do that. Sometimes, we're traveling and on that trip and we don't go to church, so we forget to tithe. Well, you can set up automatic giving, even if it's just a little bit every month or every week. Something that we do in our family is we encourage the children to come up with a ministry that they would like to support financially. And if you've listened to our podcast about teaching children about God's plan for money, you know that one of those things is a giving jar. that we use. I'm not sure what podcast number that is, but we can put that in the notes and encourage them to give. And we come together and every child pools their giving jar to give to a nonprofit or a charity that they're involved in. Home for Hope is one that I know a couple of my kids are involved in, and I'm sure they'll want to advocate for that. But those are fun things to involve the entire family into. And so I think it's very important, even though it might be tight in the summertime, to plan on giving as usual. I've talked a little bit about creative, frugal summer fun. Stewardship really doesn't create restrictions. It actually allows a lot of freedom, especially when you plan. And so summertime is a great time to have those low-cost family get-togethers, family reunions, get the neighborhood kids and families to come and just grill out some hot dogs. And you want to make sure that you're creating this budget for summer fun. I know some of my fondest memories as a child were things that were done for little or no money. Sometimes, even when I was visit my grandmother in Waco, she had a plastic pool that was one of those that you buy at Walmart for $10. And I have some of the funnest memories of goofing around in that stupid little plastic pool with my granny. And I think that little things like that are inexpensive, but your children and your family hopefully will be able to come up with some great memories from those things. So just to recap a little bit, summer can be joyful, it can be meaningful without a bunch of financial regret. This is not one of those things where in September we have to deal with debt. If you plan ahead and try not to be impulsive with your trips and travel in the summertime or camps, then you can avoid those problems that might crop up where you potentially go into debt or create a problem with your budget. So I just want to encourage you to steward your summer with purpose. Not with just money, but your time and your influence too. Look for ways that you can help and serve others. So what's one thing you can do this week? Well, review your spending plan or your budget, whatever you want to call it. See if there are little gotchas that may be popping up because of summertime, and plan to use those dollars in a very deliberate way, and plan to do fun things with your family in a way that are inexpensive. And we know it happens every year. Make sure we're planning for summer of 2026 starting now. Folks, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well show. As always, if you have questions or would like to ask us a question, we can certainly include it on a podcast topic sometime. You can text us at 254-282-0495. That's 254-282-0495. Or you can also contact us on our website at clearvistafinancial.com. That's clearvistafinancial.com. Until next time, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well show.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in the show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.